Recording is on. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Darius, and I'm technical pre-sales in FVC. And today we are gonna walk through the SD-WAN from Silver Peak after my initial presentation, and walk you through the benefits of having Silver Peak and how it is unique, especially this situation where work from home is being initiated. So before we start, I would just like to introduce FVC as what we offer as solutions. So again, thanks for joining. And first of all, FVC, we are value-added distributors, and we are in Middle East and Africa region. From the product portfolio, we have unified collaboration, smart meeting rooms, unified communications, connected workplace, and the virtual meeting rooms. So we have vendors from Poly, Avaya, Microsoft, for smart meeting rooms, Barco, unified communications, Logitech, Yelling. Again, collaboration and connected workplaces, Polycom, Poly, Yamaha, Silex, and for connected enterprise, Ribbon Communications. Moving further, we also offer networking and as well as security division. From the advanced networking, Alcatel-Lucent, Arista. From the performance management, NPM and APM, we have NetScout, we have SD-WAN solution from Silver Peak, Spirent, Riverbed is only for Africa region. Network and application security perspective, we have SonicWall, Versec, which is runtime protection on the memory stack, as well as for DDoS and WAF, Redware. On the cloud and information security side, we have IBM, again on the Africa region, Cypher Cloud, Terranova, identity management for PAM, secure access. We have Beyond Trust, and again, OneSpan for identity. So these are the portfolio that we offer, and we bundle all those portfolio with our professional services, which we have 24/7 support assistance, as well as the deployment assistance, solution, project management, and consultation as well. So with this, I would like to hand over to Richie Fry from Silver Peak to walk you through SD-WAN from Silver Peak. Yeah, so thank you very much for attending the session. I'll hand over to Richie. So Richie, you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, guys. So I was just waiting for my unmute button to go there. So firstly, I need to share my screen. So let's get that bit done and make sure. Yeah, guys. Doesn't look like that was successful. Right. Okay. Darius, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see this.
Excellent. Right. Well, hello, folks. Thank you for attending today's webinar. That's from a personal point of view, and it's entitled "Solving Business Challenges with SD-WAN." My name's Richie Fry, and I'm the Channel SE here at Silver Peak. First, I'd like to thank FVC actually for inviting me to speak to you guys. Absolutely, it's a pleasure and a privilege to do so. So today, I'll be giving you sort of a high-level overview of our technology, and I'll be putting some emphasis on Office 365, UCAAS, and WAN optimization. After my presentation, now providing I leave Darius enough time, he's going to be giving us a little bit of a demonstration of the orchestrator for the technical people in the audience. Excuse me, guys. Well, a bit of a chesty sore throat. Right, in the first few slides, I'm going to talk about, in general terms, about the cloud experience and the fundamental issues that underpin all cloud-based technologies, really, whether they be Office 365 or UCAAS or whatever. So firstly, let's have a look at the current cloud ecosystem, right? A huge transition's already taken place. So for instance, cloud services in general have already proven to be a massive opportunity, right? In 2019, the global public cloud service market was $206 billion. And that's an enormous figure, right? Enterprise businesses like your customers, they're definitely consuming cloud services. 94% of enterprises already use a cloud service and have seen the benefit of cloud hosting, right? 83% of enterprise workloads, by far the vast majority, have moved to the public cloud or will be moving this year. And that means, as I say, the vast majority of our enterprise workloads, they're no longer in the traditional data center. And lastly, SaaS is a key driver for cloud consumption, and user experience for SaaS is absolutely critical, right? By 2021, the revenue from SaaS alone will be $113 billion. Now, this data shows how important the cloud is to any business and how important it is to their success, right? The investment for a successful digital transformation, and it can be quite heavy investment, let's be honest, allows businesses to increase market share, to increase their revenue, and also to enhance employee productivity, right? Which is particularly important if they're at home at the moment, through building new business models, processes, software, and systems. The other thing this data shows us is that we can't call cloud services an emerging technology anymore, right? In fact, you could say it's the de facto way of doing business, the normal way of doing business, and the way that businesses consume their applications. So we can see from the previous slide that cloud transformation is well underway, but what's been the enterprise business experience during this time? Has this been a smooth ride or has it been problematic? Well, this survey of 1,000 IT decision makers suggests it's been the latter, right? It's not been great at all. Over 90% said that the cloud applications or their cloud applications suffer from outage and disruption on a monthly basis. 85% of enterprise businesses say that they are years away from realizing the benefits of the financial investment that they have made on those transformations. However, perhaps the most startling one of all is the one in the middle, right? 97% of enterprise businesses saying their networks cannot keep pace with the demands of the cloud. And I believe it's this statistic that is crucial to our understanding of why there is so much dissatisfaction, so much unhappiness with cloud digital transformation projects. So let's explore this a little bit deeper and see what effect our networks can have on our cloud migration experience. So for a successful cloud digital transformation, I believe there's three elements that we've got to get absolutely right, okay? We need really good cloud applications. Well, we've got Office 365 and Salesforce. We've got a host of UCAAS vendors. So I think this part of the jigsaw is solid, it's dependable, and it's fit for business. We need excellent cloud infrastructure. Well, I think we're solidly serviced here as well because we've got AWS and Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, to name but a few. And I believe this is another part of that puzzle that is fit for enterprise business needs. But how do we access these services? How fit for purpose is the network that carries our data back and forth to and from these cloud services? Was the network built with a modern cloud infrastructure in mind? Truthfully, in most cases, we don't have a modern WAN. Most digital and cloud transformations have occurred using the same WAN architecture that we were using 20 years ago. And this will most likely be that weak link in the chain that's responsible for the unhappiness that we saw in the previous slide. Let me enlarge on that a little bit and start to explain. Now, firstly, let's take a look at our traditional WAN. Incidentally, the majority of enterprise businesses, right, they're still using this legacy architecture. Now, in years gone by, this was a perfectly acceptable network architecture. The users on the left side of the screen accessed applications that were housed in the data center. And by and large, they used MPLS networks to access and consume these applications. So the traffic flow looked a bit like this. And this makes absolute sense, right? It was efficient for accessing applications housed in the data center. Also, when the data centers were hosting our applications, we expected to allocate large budgets on the equipment that were in the data center, right? Accessing services in other branches meant that we had to use the DC as a hub, but this was generally okay as it wasn't normally essential for branches to talk direct when consuming applications. Incidentally, in this architecture, when we found bandwidth limitations and excessive latency to be a barrier to good performance, we used WAN optimization, right, from companies like Silver Peak. And we've been making the WAN perform better since 2004. Okay? So, back to it. So we had a fit for purpose networking for accessing our data center hosted applications. As for the internet, well, this was normally used for social and certainly for non-critical use cases. At this point, high performance internet access for enterprise business was largely just a nice to have. Okay. So the fact that users had to travel all the way to the data center, traversing legacy network equipment to get access to the internet was not really a problem, as slow performance was generally not business critical when accessing the internet. But then something happened. We moved our critical applications from the DC and we put them in the cloud. We also probably moved our budgets away as well, right, from supporting all that data center equipment, and we largely moved that to cloud projects as well. So effectively, we'd started our cloud transformation, and in terms of workload, as we saw from the previous slide, we're 83% of the way there. Now our access to the internet is more than just a nice to have. Now our access to the internet is absolutely critical. End user experience of business applications is now reliant on this internet access. However, the fact that we're accessing the internet via the data center means a number of things, really. We're putting unnecessary distance on our internet journey. That DC, that data center, may be 1,000 miles in the wrong direction, which is just adding latency, and latency is the secret killer of performance, right? We're using MPLS links still to cover part of this journey because of the bit to the DC, and we're constrained by this bandwidth. And also, we're now traversing that legacy network equipment that we didn't want to spend any more money on because we moved our budgets up to the cloud, and we don't want to replace it, but it's still in the path and it's still part of our journey to the internet and cloud services. So what we need here is a complete rethink. Now, we should never really have expected that such a fundamental change in application consumption could be catered for by 20 to 30-year-old networking technology and architecture. However, businesses are seeing a need to address these issues. And that's why SD-WAN market has suddenly become such an important focus, right? Business recognizes the need to develop a WAN transformation strategy. So let's revisit that legacy architecture and see what we can do to improve it. So at the moment, right, in summary, it's very complex. We've got multiple network elements. We've got routers, we've got firewalls, WAN optimization, and now we want to add SD-WAN and maybe some network visibility. It's very inefficient. Configuration takes a lot of time and a high level of skill. It also requires multiple skill levels for all these different types of technology. It's very expensive, right, with all this architecture. It's very expensive in support and maintenance contracts. It's very expensive even just in electrical power. And it's also expensive to keep engineers trained on all these different technology types. And also this legacy network, it's slow to configure. It's restricted by expensive and slow bandwidth, right, on the MPLS circuits. Furthermore, it focuses data center networking equipment that we didn't want to invest in anymore. Now let's look at a modern Silver Peak self-driving WAN, our SD-WAN. Immediately, we can see the reduction in the amount of network architecture at the remote branch. Gone are the separate routers, right, and the firewalls and WAN optimization. Now they're in one device, and we've added SD-WAN and network visibility to this as well. Perhaps more importantly, the route that our end users take to consume these applications and their applications is now much more efficient. We're using direct internet breakout, negating that requirement to travel all those miles in the wrong direction to the data center. Also, we're no longer traversing that aging and ineffective network equipment that was still housed in the data center. These new links are now high speed, the high bandwidth internet links, and this will dramatically improve the end user experience alone. What we have now is a network that is many times more simple, right? We've got 5 technologies managed by a single orchestrator. This gives one skilled engineer the ability to control the SD-WAN, the routing, the firewall, the WAN optimization, and the network visibility through one management platform. This architecture is much more agile. It can be deployed in minutes and is agnostic. It doesn't matter what type of WAN you wish to connect to your remote office. It's also easy to deploy the solution alongside a best-in-breed centralized security solution, right? Which is where we see the marketplace going. This solution is extremely cost-effective. 5 technologies in one solution. This saves on maintenance contracts, engineering training, and even just on raw power and electricity. Silver Peak EDGECONNECT SD-WAN is extremely quick to deploy with required at the actual branch. Connect anytime. Then you no longer need to wait months to get a WAN link installed. You've now got the freedom to use sort of blazingly fast, cost-effective internet links. So what are the customer, let's start to look at Office 365. What are some of the customer challenge? Let's specifically discuss some of the challenges of Office 365. So we've already discussed the challenges of latency, backhauling traffic to the data center before turning it around to head to the internet compounds this issue. By breaking out directly to the internet and always sending the traffic to the nearest Office 365 point of presence, Silver Peak immediately helps you eliminate this issue. By and large, security vendors, right, they're moving away from a firewall at every branch. Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Zscaler, they realize that as applications move to the cloud, then the security solution must move with it. It makes sense and is economically preferable to have single and central cloud-based security solutions. Silver Peak makes it easy to integrate with many best-in-breed security vendors. The cost of MPLS in EMEA is generally lower than the USA. They're still normally much higher than the internet. And at the very least, customers should be able to get many times more bandwidth for the same price by either switching to internet or at least augmenting their MPLS bandwidth with internet. So what are we doing with Microsoft Cloud Services? Now, a lot of vendors will tell you they connect to Microsoft Cloud Services, but Silver Peak's one of only a handful of vendors that have gone beyond that. We've teamed up with Microsoft in full partnership, and we work together with them to ensure that customers get the best performance when accessing Microsoft Cloud applications. We've been awarded a Microsoft designation of Works with Office 365, which is Microsoft's recognition that we can enhance that Office 365 experience. Right? This means we're easily integrated with the cloud services. Customers are able to host Silver Peak EDGECONNECT devices within Microsoft Azure, and that makes that sort of data center, virtual data center platform then part of the SD-WAN fabric. We've also automated connectivity for Azure Virtual LAN, making connectivity to this service much more simple and less time consuming. We have full automation for branch office connectivity for Office 365. Right? As one of the few Microsoft partners who've been allowed access to the Microsoft APIs, this means your Office 365 traffic will always be directed to your nearest Microsoft point of presence to your site. minimizing and giving a great end user experience. And you'll see automation actually plays a large part of the Silver Peak EDGECONNECT technology architecture, particularly when connecting to these third-party services. This makes the product easier to manage and saves business many man-hours and training costs. So let's have a look a little bit at UCAAS, right? Now, no doubt, as I play some of these through, we've all experienced that kind of comments that we can see here, okay? Now, if any of you are wondering, oh, this guy sounds a bit weird, that's not the technology. It's just I really do have a funny accent and sound a bit weird, okay, guys? But look, when we consider moving our network from MPLS services and perhaps to broadband internet, we may fear that our networks no longer has the guarantees that MPLS provided. Now, this is true of all types of traffic, but in particular, we worry most about our real-time and voice and video. Voice and video calls are particularly badly affected by latency, jitter, and absolutely, of course, packet loss. This is felt much more so than in other types of applications. The poor connectivity, poor network connectivity can lead to a poor voice call with words being dropped, or that horrible robotic sound that people make when they've got a poor connection. With video calls, this can result in a freezing picture or perhaps low quality and pixelation. This situation can be exacerbated when we transfer these applications to the cloud. So specifically, how can we help improve UCAAS hosted voice and video services? Well, firstly, with our patented industry first packet IQ. This is extremely important technology. This allows our devices to recognize an application on its first packet. We recognize 10,000 applications and 300 million web domains on the first packet using this technology. Unlike traditional packet inspection technologies, which require quite a bit of a flow of data before being able to make a correct decision on this application, we can immediately make the correct decision on whether to break out locally with an application and where is the most efficient place to send it. We also have technology to identify, if you've got multiple internet links, to identify the best performing internet link to transport this absolutely critical traffic. We can prioritize UCAAS traffic, again, on that first packet over all other types of internet traffic, and also maintain a guarantee of bandwidth for those critical video and voice services. Our industry-leading path conditioning technology will ensure that voice and video traffic between your business units maintains a high business standard, clearly degraded lines, okay? With end users unaware of any poor network conditions. Silver Peak EDGECONNECT is compatible with nearly all types of WAN, okay? Anything with an Ethernet connection, MPLS, broadband internet, satellite, 4G, etc. And this puts you in control of the type of backhaul you wish to install at every site. And you can mix and match different types of technology at each site. Therefore, you've now got the freedom to use cost-effective, high bandwidth internet links with confidence. These will give you greatly improved performance, and in generally, they're much easier to purchase and put in place than those traditional sort of carrier grade MPLS circuits. So in this slide, I'm going to take you through some independent testing that's been conducted by Mircom. And the aim of this slide is to show you the effect that Silver Peak technology can have on business voice calls. So when contemplating moving from MPLS to broadband, broadband internet, customers are likely to be concerned about the quality of the voice calls. Now, down the left-hand side of this graph, we can see what's known as the mean opinion score, or the MOS score. And this is effectively, it's a way of grading or scoring the quality of a call. And generally, calls scoring above 3.5, some people say 3, but I always say 3.5 would be regarded as a high quality by a user, right? They'll see that they won't notice any issue. This degradation of the call in trouble. Okay. So if we look at the red line, what we've got here, because along the bottom you can see where we've introduced the packet loss, then this is a voice call over broadband with no Silver Peak technology in place. And we can see that this call degrades at about 1% packet loss. And this is a problem for broadband internet because 1% packet loss is considered normal. It's the upper level of acceptable for broadband services. If we keep to a single link, but introduce Silver Peak path conditioning technology, we can see we're at roughly 6% packet loss before we start to enter the danger area. Now, this would be an exceptionally poor performing line, and this is clearly a massive improvement. And it's clear here the benefits that Silver Peak can bring even to sites with a single connection. Most of our customers, however, sorry guys, right, there we go. Sorry, my presentation stopped moving there. Now, most of our customers, however, tend to use dual links at a branch. And when they move to our SD-WAN service, they generally, by and large, probably over 90% are having a dual links, okay? And we can see the dramatic effect that this would have on a voice call. Even in the unlikely scenario where both links are suffering sort of devastating packet loss, we can see that we're able to deliver a business quality voice call at between 15 and 20% packet loss on both links. And this should give you, the customer, your customers, the confidence that they can move to a broadband-based infrastructure without loss of user experience. Okay, Silver Peak has been delivering its best-in-breed WAN optimization technology now for sort of 16 years, since 2004, and it's been a Gartner Magic Quadrant leader since then. WAN optimization, it's got two main weapons in its armory. The first is TCP acceleration, and the main benefit of this group of technologies is to dissolve the distance, okay? That is, they are designed to dramatically reduce the effects of latency. As bandwidth has become cheaper, latency has become the main enemy of performance. And contrary to popular belief, latency cannot be cured by adding more bandwidth. And we can see in this graph the dramatic effect that we could have on transfer times, okay, with TCP acceleration alone. And deduplication, so whilst the TCP acceleration is about tackling latency, deduplication is about reducing the amount of bandwidth that an application requires. Okay, and this will vary dependent on the application, but it could well be in excess of 90%. I recently saw a customer's data transfer whereby a 4.5 terabyte transfer had been reduced to 5 gigabytes. Not only did this improve dramatically his transfer time and his experience, but it also greatly reduced the cost of transferring the data from a cloud platform where you have to pay by the megabyte for data leaving those hosted services. So many of our customers choose Silver Peak and they actually use it to replace existing riverbed estates, right? And whilst we compare very well, okay, on a technological and performance level, I think it's our unique and pioneering consumption model that makes Silver Peak WAN optimization such a tempting prospect, okay? And the fact that it's built into the product. So known as Boost, that's what we call our WAN optimization. We call it Boost. Our WAN optimization is bought in 100 megabyte chunks. Okay, it's put in the center of your network on that orchestrator, and it's distributed around the network as you wish. You don't have to purchase a Boost license for each individual site. And unlike Riverbed, our Boost is fully integrated, as I said, with our Silver Peak WAN technology. That was a good time for my Mac to start upgrading Office, no doubt. So here's a depiction of the magic, really, of EDGECONNECT. With EDGECONNECT at the WAN edge, you're able to create a thin branch with necessary functions such as a stateful firewall, routing, SD-WAN, WAN opt and network visibility are in one device. As the only solution that can identify 10,000 applications on the first packet, we can immediately direct traffic over the appropriate link, getting the highest performance and optimal bandwidth utilization. More complex and sophisticated next-gen security functions such as IDS and WAF can be carried outside of the branch with EDGECONNECT. Okay, and we easily service chain to a centralized security solution. We can extend your SD-WAN fabric to easily include the likes of Azure, AWS, Google, and Oracle Cloud. And lastly, we'll give you great user experience, especially, even on voice and video applications on poor and degraded networks. All this saves you money through better bandwidth utilization, fewer branch devices, and simplified automated orchestration. Guys, we're SD-WAN specialists, all right? We've got WAN optimization built into the product. It's easy to see why, in a marketplace of over 70 SD-WAN vendors, Gartner has chosen Silver Peak as one of only 2 leaders in the Magic Quadrant. So I'm going to finish as a final slide, guys, just a quick look at the appliances themselves and the format that they take. So EDGECONNECT is available in physical and virtual appliances, and you can deploy those either in virtual cloud or in the public cloud. Okay, we can see that we've pretty much got all of the hypervisors covered there, and we've got pretty much all of the public cloud covered as well, including Google Cloud, which not many people, if anybody, offers. So, guys, thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for your time today. Hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your day. I'm now going to hand over to Darius, and he's going to take you through a demonstration of the orchestrator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richie.
Darius,
some technical clarifications. Can we shoot it right now or not?
Sure.
So first, thank you very much for the presentation. I wanted to highlight a couple of points. The first one, I don't have a clear visibility on the kind of integration between Silver Peak and Palo Alto, because I have some of my customers has already Palo Alto firewalls and it's configured as an SD-WAN pod. So in this case, what kind of integration that you are proposing in such a case? This is the first one. Second one, what kind of encryption? I'm talking about not only firewall capabilities, I'm talking about encryption, traffic encryption through internet. Some of my customers is banking sector, so they are curious, or it's mandate to them as per the PCI DSS compliance. All the traffic through internet or MPLS, it should be encrypted. So where do we stand in this concern? Thank you.
So Richie, you would like to address this?
Sure. Let's first of all take, so all of our traffic is encrypted in AES 256 tunnels. Darius, if people contact FVC, I can provide them with a document that will give you all of a breakdown of all of the security protocols that are used. So I'll get that to the guys at FVC, and if anybody wants that, then that can be provided out. But effectively, our encryption is AES 256. In terms of connection to Palo Alto, we've been doing connect with Palo Alto for quite some time. I don't know whether we're talking about the cloud-based service there or into a data center or even on premise. But service chaining is at the heart of what we do, and it doesn't really matter what the appliance is that we're connecting to. From our point of view, whether it's depending on who the vendor is, depending on the level of automation we've got, but we ultimately can connect to pretty much anything. And then once we've built that platform and that connection, making it a policy is as simple as a drag and drop. I don't know whether Darius, you've got that on your on your demonstration, whether you've got anything like that to show. But honestly, guys, once you've built the actual connectivity from policy point of view, it literally is a drag and drop into your internet connectivity.
So let me rephrase or rephrase my question, which is, if I did this integration with Palo Alto firewalls, which is already in all the branches, what kind of automation I will get. So I will configure Palo Alto through your orchestrator or vice versa.
So you'll make the connectivity. Are you talking about cloud-based or?
I believe it's on the sites. Yeah.
Whatever.
On sites.
If it's on the sites, yes. I mean from the customer perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend sort of an hour talking about that. So we've got a full deployment guide, and I will get that to the guys in FVC. There is a full deployment guide for integration with Palo Alto firewalls, or it depends really how you want to do it. Whether you want to, I'm getting some feedback here, guys. Actually, I don't. So I don't know whether it's really your choice whether you integrate the firewall on the WAN side of the Silver Peak or whether you want to put it. Most people, what they'll do is actually with an on-site firewall is just put the firewall on the LAN side of the Silver Peak and use the integration that way, because obviously the Silver Peak creates encrypted tunnels and which would render your firewall useless. So I'll provide FVC with a full deployment guide for you there. Unfortunately, we could talk all that through and go through it all, but we would have no time for the demonstration or anything. We could be a long time doing that. So it's probably best when taken offline.
Sure, fair enough. I will wait for that. My last thing is I need a couple of slides for the battle cards. You know, a lot of other vendors, like you mentioned before, is proposing the same solution of SD-WAN. So I need to differentiate myself as a Silver Peak from all other vendors. So please just put a couple of slides and share it with us as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That's perfect. So thanks for your questions. And I would just like to walk you through. Thanks, Richie, for your support. Just quick demonstration on the orchestrator, how it looks like and how easy it is and how it can distinguish different types of traffic, as Richie just explained that certain traffics which requires to be backhauled to the data center, like your mission critical apps, Citrix or RDP session, etc., right, as compared to the Office 365 or Skype traffic, which needs to have a local breakout. Yeah, so firstly, I would just show you how easy that system is to set up. So currently, just for a demonstration, I'll just try to fire up just a small virtual instance on the Azure, just to show you that once the device is connected with the IP in the network, the system would immediately show as discovered appliance through the cloud portal. And as soon as you approve it, it will start its configuration wizard and it will start establishing VPN tunnels. So I have a couple of devices already there, just pre-configured. So to save some time and just to show you the features, I will walk you through that process. So here I have two appliances already connected on site A and site B. So if I go to my dashboard quickly, so here it shows me how the connectivity is. This is the actual tunnel which is happening between two sites. Yeah, so this is just for demo. I've just fired up two virtual instances at two different locations, and both of them has internet connectivity. Now the good part is, as mentioned, that with Silver Peak, it has identification of almost 10,000 plus application, and that's where the differentiator with other SD-WAN vendors, that Silver Peak can steer automatically the applications based on the overlays, or what we call as business intent overlays. Yeah, as mentioned, that each overlay is basically categorized as real-time critical apps, bulk apps, or default. And each of this overlay already has classification of applications. Yeah, so as soon as the Silver Peak gets that data or the traffic from that application with its first packet IQ, it can identify it needs to have a local breakout or it needs to backhaul to the data center. And the good part is this is how you configure your VPN tunnels. Now, this is a game changer where on the firewalls and routers, the configuration is more on based on the network and command line interfaces. Everything is automated. So you choose your bandwidth, your WAN links, whether you would like to have one link or multiple links. Would you like to have a path conditioning where one-to-one FAC or FAC bits are transferred, or for packet reordering? So you can choose your available link bonding policy. It's just click. As soon as you have multiple links, and for certain traffic like your bulk apps, you would like to load share, then you can create just one click load share bonding link bonding policy. And now your traffic will start load balancing. And if you want to have traffic to be locally breakout, you just choose it's just drag and drop, whether you want to backhaul or you want to locally breakout. Now, just for demonstration purpose on real time, I have just used Skype for Business traffic, which is Teams, not Skype for Business, Teams, which is on the cloud. And I would be breaking out locally. Hence, this particular overlay is representing my Teams traffic, whereas critical apps overlay, okay, this basically categorized as traffic like remote desktop or Citrix, etc. Also, I can choose the type of topology that I would like to have this particular traffic. So application-based tiering is one of the most important factor which differentiates Silver Peak from other vendors. So none of the firewall could actually steer based on the application. And that's what Silver Peak provides. In case if the latency or delay or the jitter on the specific links goes high and the link starts degrading, automatically the Silver Peak will start steering the traffic to the next available. So that's how it configure. So I've categorized real-time critical app. Bulk app is for my bulk traffic. So what I'm doing is for my real-time, I've created full mesh, whereas critical apps, bulk apps, because this is between sites, branch to data center, I have choose hub and spoke topology. Whereas for other internet traffic, I'm just breaking out locally. So whatever like YouTube or Google or Facebook, that would be simply breaking out locally without getting through the data center and choking the link at the data center. So that's how my VPN configuration looks like. This is my tunnel. And after this, I just have to apply to the devices. So just for your reference, I've just choose one critical app. Other tools are already applied. So as soon as I apply this, it will start creating tunnels between the devices. And it will take slight time. Obviously, it's on a virtual platform. So as you can keep checking the status, as it's already started now, and within few minutes, the tunnels will be up and running. So this is how actually your tunnels are built. So very simple, very easy to configure. And the good part is each tunnel is based on the application. As I mentioned, certain application requires full mesh, that is all branches to be tunneled. It will create a call. If bulk app is only between branch and data center, only be created between branch and data center. And that's how exactly the steering works. As soon as any link degrades, you can choose which application use what link. You can have one MPLS, one broadband, one LTE. You can link bond all the three together for certain application. For certain application, you can choose MPLS as primary and other link as a backup, LTE as a backup, for example. So that's how easy it is. And that's in true sense we call SD-WAN, software defined WAN. Auto steering based on applications, not based on network, and very easy to use. And this is your single pane of the glass. This is the orchestrator. This is where everything will happen. Your configuration, your routing, whether you want to place as an edge device, you can directly plug in ADSL connection. You want to run BGP, OSPF, all these are supported as VNF functions. Also, for the traffic which needs to have additional security layer, create a tunnel between Zscaler or with Microsoft Office 365. Again, we can directly connect so that your optimization happens. And with Silver Peak, there is a complete technology tile with them. Yeah, so that's how easy to set up. So you get your appliance in the network, your appliance is discovered, you approve that appliance, your overlays are already defined based on the, as soon as those overlays are simply working. So with this, what I've done is I've just set up a small kind of a lab scenario where I would show you the WAN optimization function with other traffic steering and how it looks like in the flows, which traffic moves in which flow. So just give me a second just to log in. And meanwhile, this optimization, as mentioned, it always keeps a check on which is the closest gateway to that every application that we are using. As of now, for Teams, which is for business, whichever application you are interested in steering, you can enable that particular SaaS feature. It will always calculate the shortest path. And on top of that, it will also advertise to your branch offices, which is the closest gateway towards that particular SaaS application. In matter of fact, you can fire up one on Azure cloud, and you can also get the closest distance to that SaaS application based on that.
Darius, somebody has
as
requested to make the screen font a little bigger because they can't see.
Okay. All right, I hope this is fine. So my point is I've already transferred few files in. What I want to show is these flows that has already been captured. As you can see, so what I'm doing is I'm transferring certain files between the Silver Peak to from one Silver Peak to another, or one site to another, and it has actually provided the flows. Each of the flow depends on what application it is and which tunnel it has to go through. Yeah, so that's how it is identified. Each application will be classified accordingly. So whether it has to be locally breakout, like YouTube traffic would be normal internet traffic. Yeah, as Office 365 or Teams traffic will be considered as real time. And being that, let me see if I can just go the login. Each of this traffic, when moving through the tunnel or through the interface, you can monitor it live. Whether the links are performing well, is there any degradation in the link? So you get interface bandwidth trend, which you can degradation of the performance of the system. Yeah. So this is one of my data center server, one of consider as data center. Sorry, it's slightly slow because we have a lot of connections going on. So please bear with me. So what am I gonna do is I'm gonna transfer 1 gig file from location A to location B, which is, let's say, branch site to data center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this file, which I've already copied, which is 1 gig, and I'll retransfer from site A to site B. And you will see how fast this goes because I've already done the initial transfer just to show the difference. So here I'm going to push this file back from data center to location, and you can see it started pushing 1 gig file, which already has been transferred for the first time. Okay, and you can see the speed, how fast it's gonna go. It's already 5 to 8% already done. And if I go and watch the statistics real time on the flows, so as you can already see that within almost 47 seconds, 500 MB already been transferred. And that is getting from this particular location, which is SRV server side, to SPVM, which is the client side. So server is pushing the file and getting this file in a much faster way. So this is almost 1 gig file, which is getting transferred. As we speak, it's almost 70 to 80% already done for 1 gig file. Okay. And if you want to compare, if I start another file, this is one which is never been transferred and this first time. So it will only take TCP acceleration. Yeah, so this is a bulk file that you are transferring. This is another session which the previous one is already ended. Okay, and at the same time, this is the traffic between data center and the branch side. Whereas at the same time, I would like to wish to call someone. Now this will steer in a different way, in a different tunnel altogether. Let me try calling my colleague over the Teams, which is a local breakout traffic. So my colleague has joined and he's on this system. Obviously there is no microphone, but my colleague has already switched on the camera. You can see the quality. Although there is a transfer happening at the same time, there is a real-time traffic, which is Teams traffic, which is also passing through.
What is the actual bandwidth between these two sites?
So I've applied as 50-50 mega, plus I've applied boost. That's the reason for, with the help of boost, you get very fast data transfer for 1 gig. 1 gig file was just transferred within minutes. So you can also monitor what's happening in the tunnel.
Is it doing the bandwidth, the boost, or kind of caching?
It's a memory caching and TCP acceleration. So not for the Teams traffic, because Teams traffic is, as I mentioned, that it's an application which is breaking out locally on the cloud. At the same time, the application which is transferred between data center and branch, which is bulk app. FTP is considered to be heavy traffic, and that's where you would use the boost feature, WAN optimization feature. Yeah, so there are two things which will benefit on that. The same repeated traffic, which keeps replicating between branch to data center or data center to DR site. So the 1 gig file, as you have just seen, that it just got transferred within few seconds or within a minute. The file is still getting transferred because it's first time. As it becomes second time, it will be much faster. But what another advantage it gets is when you are transferring with such without WAN optimization, without Silver Peak, what you will suffer is the amount of latency over the WAN. It will not be able to push the required traffic. With Silver Peak doing TCP acceleration, means that latency allows your WAN bandwidth. Rather than upgrading the WAN bandwidth, with the same WAN bandwidth, you can push more data. So right now I'm just monitoring. I can monitor on loss and latency. So at this stage, I'm transferring 1 gig file plus I'm transferring also the Teams traffic. So as you can see, although there are latency losses, but still the call is working perfectly fine. And that's just wanted to show you a brief how it looks like. All these are the different tunnels which are already up and running. So bulk app one which is transferring FTP file. The Teams traffic is getting through real time, which is breaking out locally. So every traffic here is being steered automatically based on how, what bandwidth, what links you would like to use, and how you would like to steer that traffic. And the best part is I don't have to configure that much thing because Silver Peak is already having 10,000 plus application recognition, and it does automatic traffic steering. And again, that's the difference between other SD-WAN. If you are running SD-WAN on another vendors, that's where this is what you will not achieve. So we are not, as mentioned, that Silver Peak is basically looking at the application, the business intent, and based on that, it will steer the traffic. And finally, just to show you an application pie chart, like if you want to see how much traffic was saved, how much bandwidth was saved after enabling the boost, the WAN optimize function, you can also verify that. Show that particular figures that from the outbound WAN, from within this two device, whatever transfer has happened, 97% has been boosted. So this is what you have saved on the WAN bandwidth. So today you have to increase the WAN bandwidth, and because of this functionality of auto steering and WAN optimization, you are able to achieve this from a lot of monetary value, save bandwidth and cost as well. So that's for now, I believe. And if you wish to have more, you can contact us anytime and we can get in touch with you and we can organize the session further and POCs as well. Yeah, so what I would do now is, I hope this is just kind of small demo I tried to organize from home through internet. Obviously, there is a little bit of delay of connecting from home, but I hope you got the message, what it is and how it looks, how easy it is to deploy, how efficient, and 100% based on your application steering function.
Thanks, Darius.
So,
hi there.
Yeah.
Yes. One question for you. What is the link speed at your home?
My home is hardly 20 MB ADSL.
Okay, and
But
the data
this
center?
virtual machine is fired up in my office. So as I mentioned that I have not put more bandwidth here, I've just put 50 mega, and again this 50 mega is shared because it's a virtual machine.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, because it's slightly delayed. So now what I would like to do is basically I would like to give upon my colleague Kalyan, and he would like to announce some promotion from you. Kiara, would you like to say something?
Before that, Kiara, you want to make any announcement? Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Darius. Thank you, Richie. As I've been mentioning before, we specifically need email IDs of Mr. Alessandro Esposito, Mr. Farhan Alvi, Mr. Hamid, Mr. Salim, Mr. Shaban, Mr. Ahmad S., Mr. Kamal Azavi, Mr. Mubashir, Mr. Murli Dharan, Mr. Niju Wael, Mr. Niju, Mr. Wael Sharif, and Mr. Sadiq Roshan. If we do not receive your email IDs, unfortunately, we will not be able to send you the presentation, the recording of the webinar, and the very interesting promotion that Mr. Kalyan is going to announce. I would request you to please send your email IDs on the chat. Thank you. Kalyan, please go ahead.
Kalyan, just a minute here. Kiara, this is Abdullah. Some of the names which you have mentioned, I think we have already their contacts. If they can share it right now, it would be well and good. Otherwise, Kiara, you can share it with me and Kalyan. We might have their email IDs.
Okay, sure, Abdullah. That would be fine. But any which ways, if they can share their email IDs, it would be appreciated. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, guys, for attending the session. I would say it was in a very short time, very informative. We want to reward our resellers. And as you know, as you've seen a live demo as well as a presentation, it spoke volumes about what are the features of Silver Peak. Unfortunately, we can only reward the first 20 resellers who can come back to us with the leads, and every lead gets $100, the form of which the marketing will send you in a form of mail. What kind of it will be a voucher or a cash. Just to sum up, key takeaways of this presentation, you can take back what's the recognition of Gartner about Silver Peak, where do we stand in the Magic Quadrant. We did speak about the latency challenges in video and audio applications, how Silver Peak can address it, addressing latency challenges over the cloud, and bandwidth management, of course, which is the DNA of the Silver Peak. As a system integrator, how do I qualify a lead? If you see it in your database, your client database, you have potential cloud movers or guys who have gone into the cloud, or a multi-branch customer, challenges with bandwidth, or customers coming back to you saying that the cost of bandwidth is quite high. So these are your low-hanging fruits where you can call them up and talk to them about the requirement. You can in turn provide us the details of this client. We will call, we'll scale that requirement. We will check whether he's ready for a demo or a POC. And if all these three checkpoints are done, then we reward this cash prize to the reseller who has got us this opportunity. Right? These points are quite clear, I suppose. And after this presentation, of course, our marketing team would send you, the SPIF mailer, which will contain a link where you can register the lead, which will ask you the basic details of your end user whom you have identified, his details as well as your details. So we'll call up, we will involve you as a reseller in every stage of our conversation with your client. That would be taken care of. I would always say that, please leave your email addresses in the chat windows. The entire webinar recording will be sent back to you. That's my email address and my contact details if you want to get in touch with me, or Darius, who has presented you the demo. Thank you one and all. Thank you for joining.
Perfect. So thank you everyone once again. And I hope it was informative for everyone.
Kiara,
Thank you guys for your time.
Close it.
It was great.
Thanks.
Yes, Kalyan, I think we can close it. We've managed to capture email IDs, but we're still missing few. We'll check with you and Abdullah, as you mentioned.
Perfect.
Sure, Kiara. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you one and all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Give one and all.